Hello everyone, this is Tactical Lich here and welcome to another Total War Warhammer 2 online multiplayer replay. Today we'll be looking at a Vampire Counts versus Bretonnian replay sent in by Tianxingjian. Big thanks to him as he has always sent in some high quality replays and really supported this channel. Now let's have a look at the army builds. For the Vampire Counts, they have a whole front line of Crypt Ghouls in the tree line with, in the middle, a couple White Kings with Scabsgrave as well as Vlad von Carstein. A very tanky character core in here, all of them are foot characters and decently in terms of just tanking for absolute ages and providing an anchor point in the middle of the front line. As for mobility, and that is where the Vampire Counts killing power are, we have a chill guys in the corner of the map, a couple Var guys, armor piercing damage dealers should do decently if they get on top of the Bretonnian knights on the charge. And on the left, a couple Black Knights with a Blood Knight. Now for the Bretonnian army, we have a front line of Peasants, of course, not exactly good against the Crypt Ghoul front line of the Vampire Counts, as these filthy undead creatures will shred through the Peasant mobs. A second line of Men-at-Arms and a third line of Peasant Bowmen, very cost-effective archers, a couple fire arrows in case of something with regeneration, say like Terrorgeist and Vargolf, and of course Pox arrows for that poison debuff. As for mobility and also the killing power of the Bretonnian army, Companions of Canal, armor-piercing anti-large cavalry should do good against even Blood Knights, and more questing knights. In the skies, we have some Royal Hippogriff Knights as well as Outbreak der Borderloo. Now, Borderloo is not exactly a common pick, but given that he can provide bonus versus large for units nearby, this is a pretty reasonable pick against Vampire Counts. As for the spellcasting department, we have the Damsel of Life, with Regrowth and Earthblood just coming in solely for the healing abilities. Now with the army builds done, let's get a battle started and see how it plays out. The battle starts with both forces pushing towards each other, obviously due to the lack of artillery on the field, so they do need to get into melee range, and in the air over here, the Bretonnian forces do have the advantage. With the Royal Hippogriff Knights as well as Outbreak, they can no doubt overwhelm these puny Vargeist. And as the Vampire Counts, there are no firepower to support the engagement in the air, so they basically have to run away and try to avoid engagement until it's a better time. But in the forest, here comes the cavalry engagement. Black Knights charging into the Peasant, now trying to surround the questing knights, as well as these Blood Knights coming in but not getting exactly a good charge whatsoever. While in the front, Peasant mobs are getting decimated by the Crypt Ghouls, although that buys time for the bowmen to provide some cover fire. But back, the Vargeist drop down to the ground, trying to rout these Peasant bowmen. The Companions trying to respawn against the diving Vargeist, but with chill guys coming in from the back, surrounding these elite knights of Bretonnia with armor-piercing entities, they're not exactly having the best engagement here. Things are going better for the Bretonnians on the right flank. Hippogriff Knights as well as the questing knights focusing down the Blood Knights, who are just barely hanging on with the support of Invocation of Nahak, while Vargeist are just rushing towards the bowman line, trying to rout them off before they can do too much damage. On the left flank here of the Bretonnian side, the Companions getting routed by the combined forces of Vargeist and Chill guys. With the Companions gone, the whole left flank and also the middle section of the Peasant front line is basically lost to the approaching Crypt Ghouls. The Men-at-Arms and Bowmen are running for their lives, but still, the Bretonnian killing power are pretty much intact. We have the Questing Knights winning in the cavalry engagement. In the skies, we have the Royal Hippogriff Knights almost full health, as well as Outbreak der Borderloo. While the Blood Knights on the field are getting shut down, no doubt, by the consistent pressure from the Bretonnian army. Now, with an overview over the battlefield, we can see that Vampire Counts has successfully dispatched almost all of their Peasant forces. Only a single unit of Peasant Bowmen surviving the onslaught of the Vampire Counts, while the Crypt Ghouls are just driving the Peasant units towards the white line. However, the Vampire Counts heroes are in quite a bit of trouble. Vlad von Carstein, being separated from his main forces, is getting gooned by a bunch of hippogriffs, including Outbreak himself. The double White King is trapped by the Questing Knights, with Peasant mobs coming in for support, no doubt returning from routing. Well, there are still some rather healthy Men-at-Arms units on the field to buffer for the Bretonnian forces. The Counts have put up continuous pressure to chase off routing Peasants. We can see here Peasant Bowmen getting pressured off. This one got regrouped, but soon routed off by the pursuing Crypt Ghouls as well. So Basically, Bretonnian forces are all focused down in here. There are no Blood Knights for the... Oh, actually, the Blood Knights survived with some invocation of the heck. Only down to 12 models at this point and less than a quarter of their HP. Pretty much out of the game. While in the middle, Life from Cosine have been tanking some damage from all the air pressure from the Bretonnian forces. Now down to about 1/3 of their health, getting slowly grind down by Questing Knights and Peasants. The rest of the Count's units aren't faring too well either, with the Black Knights and Vargheists getting beaten down by the Bretonnian elites. The balance of power still say things are fairly even, probably because of the Vampire Hero presence. Surviving Vargheists are now surrounding the Hippogriff Knights and basically Bretonnian air forces trying to buy more time for the ground forces of the Vampire Counts to pull it back. But it's not looking too good for the Vampires, as they only have 3 very tanky characters left. 2 of them are not exactly good at dealing damage. Yes, Vlad is a good duelist, but he can only do so much against that many Questing Knights and Hippogriff Knights, and, well, also Albrecht himself. A bit of a Blood Knight is surviving, coming in, trying to support, charging into the Hippogriff Knights, who are still full models and almost full health. But with a surround of chill guys, they might fare a little bit better. As you can see here, Albrecht is down to half health. The Hippogriff Knights are finally taking some damage, probably because the Lifecaster in the forest is finally out of magic. But the Hippogriffs are still going to be a tough nut to crack. And bad news for the Vampire Counts, a Trident is placed right on top of their chill guys, absolutely demolishing the whole unit, using the only magic damage from the whole Bretonnian army in this game, destroying the only remaining damage dealer of the Vampire Count's army. Only some Crypt Ghouls remains, who has no hope in taking down the heavily armored Knights of Bretonnia. And with the loss of the shield guys, the Vampire Count's player decided to throw in the towel and end the game right there. Okay, so now that we're done with the battle, I would like to talk a bit about tactics and strategies of this battle. Our Vampire Counts player here did an amazing job at dispatching all the peasant support from the Bretonnian army. We can see here with the Crypt Ghouls as well as the Vargheists, Chill guys. Basically, all the peasants on the right side of the battlefield are all but gone at this point. The Crypt Ghouls here just chasing after the peasants, pushing them to the white line, and the Vargheists using their devastating charge to basically destroy the men-at-arms. However, that also partly contributed to his defeat in the end. As we can see here, with all the units scattered around the battlefield chasing off these peasant units, who are actually much cheaper than the Crypt Ghouls and all these mobility of the Vampire Counts, that left all these cavalry and characters over here on this side of the battlefield unsupported, especially against something like Questing Knights and Hippogriffs, where the armor piercing of these Vargheists and Chill guys are sorely needed, and the Crypt Ghouls would become pretty decent meat shields, even with their low armor, as they will be able to, well, take hits for the characters. And that is a dilemma of a lot of players will have to face on the battlefield, to chase or not to chase. On one hand, you want to dispatch all the routing units to prevent them from doing too much damage to your army, especially these peasant bowmen, who can and will destroy these unarmored Vargheists pretty efficiently if given the chance to fire. But on the other hand, if you send in something too expensive to chase them off, that means that your elite units will not be able to support the fight of your other units. And that might lead to a defeat in the end, as over here, just like this engagement, you have the Black Knights and Blood Knights getting thrown into the combat one by one, while the Questing Knights and the Hippogriffs, as well as Albrecht der Borderlu, are up in the skies or just grouping around this area, able to fight in tandem and focus down these units one by one, while the rest of the units from the Vampire Counts are just busy chasing off the peasants. Honestly, there are no optimal choices in these kinds of scenario, as it varies heavily on a case-by-case basis, and all you can rely on is your own judgment, whether it's worth it or not to chase after a unit and dispatch them, or you should just leave them and let them come back and send your important units to deal with some key engagements, like, say, fight with the key targets of your opponents. I just thought this is a pretty frequently faced dilemma in a lot of battles for a lot of players, so I thought I might spend a couple minutes to talk about it. It's not the most important tactical decisions you have to make, it's just something that you have to bear in mind before sending off your unit to dispatch some routing units. Now, without further ado, let's go into the post-battle screen. Before we go into the army performances, I would like to give a big thanks to Tianxing Jian for sending in this replay, especially one where the sender suffered a defeat. Usually, myself included, we want to share the winning games because we are proud of the victories, but sending in a defeat means that you are proud of the game no matter the outcome, and it is a highly commendable effort, and I totally respect that. I hope you viewers enjoy this fun game as well, and if you do, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe to keep yourself up to date to my content. I'll be uploading content on tips and strategies for multiplayer, wild army builds, or general battle replays like this one on a regular basis. And if you have any battle replays that you are particularly proud of and want to showcase, feel free to drop by my Discord or send me an email attached with the file, and yeah, I'll be sure to check it out and see if I can make it into a video. For the army performances, the Vampire Counts player did a great job with these crypt goals. Yes, they did not earn back too much of their value, but considering that they decimated the peasant front line and put a lot of pressure into the peasant bowmen, preventing them from fire and routing them off, only one peasant bowman actually managed to recover their value, when normally if you allow them to fire, they will easily earn back twice their value. So all things considered, even not earning a lot of value, these crypt goals were absolutely great in just decimating the peasant front line. However, the issue here lies in the mobility, as the Black Knights simply are no match for the elite questing knights, and with only one Blood Knights in the fray, they get easily overwhelmed by the more numerous questing knights as well as the air pressure from the Hippogriffs and Alberic. The Chill guys did a lot better, given that they got a charge on the Companions of Canal with the support of some Var guys over here earning a chevron. They actually recovered all their worth and also dispatched a lot of the peasant units. However, the other Var guys did not do so well, considering that, yes, they are armor-piercing damage dealers, but with Alberic giving the surrounding units anti-large as well as the simply more elite Royal Hippogriff Knights, they simply can't win out in aerial engagements. As you see in the end, they just get pummeled by the basically full health Royal Hippogriff Knights and Alberic. As for the Hero Core, White Kings, as usual, they are not exactly good damage dealers. Yes, they have Scapsgrave, but they are only good against something like peasant mobs who are unarmored and very numerous. You can see here they still have quite a bit of gas in them, it's just that they do not have the ability to punch back effectively against the questing knights. Vlad von Karstein down to around 40% of their health, only 1200 damage value. Being surrounded by a bunch of hippogriffs is certainly not the optimal engagement for him. Now for the Bretonnian army, they did a great job as keeping these Royal Hippogriff Knights alive and picking the right engagements for them. Obviously with a lot of help from the Damsel of Life, but still not a single unit loss and 2 chevrons. 2150 value, very solid work right there. Alberic, not the most common pick among the Bretonnian roster, but still almost 3000 value. Taking apart the Var guys, the Blood Knights, and also helping to goon out Vlad von Karstein, did some very solid work, and also 69 kills, very nice. Peasant mobs though, of course they're peasants, so they're just there to delay the advance of enemy infantry, and actually this time they act a bit like a support element, as in they distracted the crypt ghouls from pushing into the backlines, or maybe just pushing into the questing knights to help out against the engagement for the vampire characters. Men-at-Arms, same thing here, not a lot of value as they get decimated by the crypt ghouls. They just simply can't keep up with the pressure from the damage dealer unit. Peasant Boatmen, we covered them already, not exactly the best value, but the questing knights, they did pretty well, basically covered all their value, earning a chevron each, using their superior melee stats to beat down the Black Knights, overwhelm the Blood Knights, and pin in the White Kings. However, the Companions of Canal, though, getting surrounded by Chill guys and Var guys, did not manage to recover their value. And yeah, this is basically it for today's video. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Tactical Lich, signing out.